Hi there, welcome back to my channel, Scrap and Coffee. Finally, summer break is over, the kids are back to school and I can turn on my camera. So I had a design ready for a couple of weeks now, but I just didn't have the time to turn on the camera. So I can't wait to actually bring that project and that design to life. So I'm going to start in this video with constructing the cover. And for that I've already prepared some gray board. And I'm going to work with the Say Cheese Classic Pooh collection. And I have two versions. I have the 12 by 12, the Say Cheese Classic Pooh. And I have the 6 by 8 Say Cheese Classic Pooh Birthday. So those are the two things that I'm going to use. For now I'm planning to only use the 12 by 12 on my cover and the 6 by 8 on the inside. It's kind of designed for your 6 by 8 paper packs, but I really wanted to wrap my cover in the pattern papers. So for that, I selected 3 sheets of paper out of that 12 by 12 collection. I really loved these 2 sheets in here, and I'm only going to use this lighter part for my actually front and back cover. So I can cut like the 2 pieces out of the 2 sheets that I need. And then this one for the spine. So that means that I'm going to use what they call the easy wrap method, where I'm going to wrap my 3 pieces separately instead of making like one long piece that I normally do and prefer. But when I use my pattern papers, I actually sometimes like to use that method as well. So that's what we're going to do for this project. Now I'm pretty sure that by the time this video comes up, I've already posted the project share and told you that there is a cutting guide available in my Ko-fi shop that you can download for free for this project. But I will also share measurements in the video. But if you would like to have a cutting guide, then you can go to the Ko-fi web shop and just download the cutting guide. And there is a link down below in the description box to where you can find it. So my pieces of gray board, so this is what I could get here in the Netherlands, and I actually like it. I've never used gray board before, but this is 2mm thick. It's nice and sturdy. Looks like it's more sturdy than the chipboard that I normally use. So, but I still have a lot of that chipboard, so I will have to use it up. But I think this might be my new favorite for covers, but we'll see after I made the project. So I've cut 2 pieces to 6.5 by 8.5 inches. And the spine is going to be 1.25 by 8.5 inches. And then I'm going to use these pieces for my front and back cover. So that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to put the spine to the side for now. And I'm going to cut these pieces. I want to have an inch overhang on all sides. I have enough space for that on this paper. You could do with 1/2 inch, but I like the inch. So that means when my chipboard or gray board is 6.5 by 8.5, that I'm going to cut it to let's see if I can get it to 8.5, but I might cut into this, so I might make it a little bit shorter by 10.5. So if I want to cut it to 8, let's get that strip off first. Okay, if I want this to be 8.5, am I going to cut into the image? I think so. And if I do 8, still a little bit, but less. Okay, I'm gonna do 8, just because I want to keep that image, but that means that I don't have that full inch to wrap over on the sides. That's fine. And then I'm just going to cut off the top. Maybe I will do that from the bottom then, so I really don't have that, but I don't think it would be an issue, to 10.5. I'm not sure if the top of my paper trimmer is in frame, but like that might be better. 10.5. So that's one, and then I'll do the same thing with the other piece. So I'm back to filming with my phone for now. It's my first time filming from the Netherlands actually, and I brought all my stuff back to the Netherlands, but for example my mounting piece for my camera, that's on a shipping container, so I don't have that one yet. So I need to film from my phone, which is fine. not a problem. You just have to get used to it again. Because with my camera I can actually see what's in frame and now I can't, so. Okay, so these pieces are cut. They're basically very similar pieces, so it doesn't really matter what's going to be the front and the back. I'm just going to start with one piece. I'm going to turn this around. What I can do is, because I already put double-sided tape around the perimeter and filled in the middle a little bit. You can use any adhesive that you prefer. I think I'm just going to, do I want to have it really straight because of the image? Maybe, because I'm perfect like that, but you definitely don't have to. So I have that 1 inch from top and bottom. And then if my measurements, my calculations are correct, this is 6.5, this is 8, so I have 1.5 inches. So that would be, what's 3/4 of an inch on both sides. Let's see. Yeah, that looks right. So that's what we're going for. Do I have something to peel off that tape? Okay, I don't really see what I'm looking for. Maybe I don't have it here, so I'll just use this one. That will work as well. So I'm just going to take off the tape and then stick it on as best as I can. I'm not going to use any double-sided, some wet glue, because I don't want to have the risk of seeing the lines of my dried up glue through the paper. So we're taking all of that off. And then just use my pencil lines as a guide to get it on there as straight as I can. There we go. I'm gonna give that a nice burnish. Then I have my handy dandy miter tool that I made myself. I have a video for that on my channel. So I'm just marking now where I'm going to cut later, because first I'm going to place some double-sided tape around the edges. So all 4 marks, and then I'm going to use, I just think I'm just going to use some 1/4 inch tape for now for both the edge of the chipboard and the edge of the paper. So I'm going to start where my tape is going over that pencil line, and then when I cut it off later, I have a nice, oh, it's right there. Like the tape will go all the way to the cut edge, so that's why I do it like that. And if you don't have to go from corner to corner, because you're just going to cut it away, right? It's going to be a waste of your tape. So we've moved from Australia to the Netherlands in late June, end of June. So we are in the Netherlands now for, well, a good amount of time. But the hard thing is that it's not easy to buy a house at the moment in the Netherlands. So we are living with my parents, and luckily enough, I was able to have a little corner on the attic where I could like set up my space, so I could still create and do my thing. Well, you might have noticed that I have been diving into the art journaling and collage, creating collage pages, which I really enjoy. And since I wasn't able to film, that's what I've been doing quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. I have been posting projects on my Instagram, so if you are not following me on Instagram yet, and you think, hey, she's very quiet on YouTube, follow me on Instagram and you will see that I am working on things, and I'm not like, I didn't quit again. I just needed time to to settle, and now the kids are going to school, so I really have time to put on the camera, and I really hope that that will result in me being more consistent in posting projects on YouTube again as well. So I'm going to cut on that line now that I draw earlier, just all 4 sides. We're reducing bulk on that corner. And those can go away. And now we are going to do some burnishing. So I'm going to take a burnish tool, bone folder, and I'm just going to burnish the paper slowly because it's pattern paper, and I know that the pattern papers from Simple Stories are dealing with this pretty well, so I'm not too worried. But like always, I like to take my time, and it rather takes me a little bit longer to do all of this than I end up with a piece of cardstock that ripped on me. So because I've been rushing too much, I really don't want that to happen. So just help that out a little bit, makes it easier to fold over in a little bit. And I already really love how this is looking. I think this is a perfect paper for a cover because it gives interest, but there's also still a lot of space to put on your decorations if you want to. Okay, so we've done that. Now I can help it a little bit with the, pre-fold it a little bit. And I'm going to start with the long sides. So now there is some wet glue coming in as well. I'm going to remove some of that tape backing here to the side, only a little bit. I will remove it completely once we're doing the short sides. This one can go off. And I will get my art glitter glue, and I'm just going to put a little strip here along the sides. Doesn't have to be much, just a little bit. And now I might, if you've been watching me long enough, you know that I always switch bone folders. I have like my preferred tools for every step, so sorry, I'm just a bit crazy like that. You could definitely do this with the 1 bone folder. And I'm just going to slowly fold it over and stick it down. And then we're going to do the other sides. So if you do the long side, one long side, you first do the other long side before you move to the short sides. And if you want to start on the short sides, you do the same thing. You do both short sides before you go to a long side, because you just get cleaner corners that way. Okay. Now, before we move further, we have that overhang here of cardstock. We need to fold that in. And I have a little bit more than I prefer to have, but that's okay. So we're folding it in and making it flat. And even for this process, I use 2 bone folders, because with this one I can just give that little bit more pressure to really get that corner flat there. And then we can remove these tape backings as well. And again, a little bit of wet glue there around that edge here. And then I also like to give a little bit right there, not too much. Doesn't need much, this glue, and it will only ooze out if you do too much. So, and then same process, up against the edge, and then slowly fold over. And the short sides always go easy and quick. So, same thing here. And that's either front or back side cover wrapped in pattern paper. So this is number 1, and it's really nice and sturdy. I would like it. I'm going to do the same thing with the other piece. So that's going to be the exact same process, and then I'll be back when we are working on the spine. The front and back cover are both wrapped. Now we are going to work on the spine. I already got my piece of that pattern paper that I like to use. I'm going to use this side showing. I've got it to 10.5 inches on top, so I have that 1 inch to fold over, and I went for 1.5 inches on the side. So this piece is 4.25 inches wide. So I'm going to turn that over, and again I'm just going to mark a little bit so I'm pretty much straight on here, 1 inch from the bottom. And I have that 1.5 on the sides. That's my whole ruler. So I'm just lining up the edge of my ruler. And give me a little bit of a guideline there. So again, I've already put some double-sided tape on here. That's my choice of adhesive for this. And I will have to admit, it's been a long time since I've used this method. So I hope I still remember how to do the spine part, because yeah, it's been a while. Okay, that's on. So we're going to fold over the top, but I don't want to have too much bulk. So I think I'm going to eyeball a little bit how to cut that. So I'm going to put a little bit of double-sided tape on the edges. And now I have to think, because this is not going to stick on. I only have to do the short side for now, I believe. Great tutorial. I think it might be the case that I'm not sure about this. Oh, we'll get there. Give that a bit of a burnish. So you can like cut it at an angle, but in my head it works a bit differently. I'm not gonna go all the way up to the edge. I'm going to make it a slightly bigger, or maybe I want to do that with an angle a little bit. So I'm going to make a little mark for myself. I'm going to aim up to here, like not a full 1/8 of an inch, but next to the corner of the chipboard. That's what I'm aiming to cut towards. From a slide angle, with a slide angle, not too much. I hope I'm doing this right. Like that, so we can fold that one over. And then from this side I will cut with an angle as well. Like that, Ivanka, other way. Okay, so we have something that looks like that. So this is what it looks like right now. I'm going to turn it over. And again, we're going to give that a bit of a burnish on the edges. I'm just doing all 4 sides, and we are going to fold over the short sides here. We're not doing anything with the long side yet. And again, I will be combining it with a little bit of wet glue. Such a small piece. And we're just folding that over. Okay, so what I'm thinking about doing is giving a little bit of wet glue here along this edge to really help with getting that paper up against it. So and to keep it there. But maybe I need to fold this in first. This side and also this side. Getting a bit messy with my glue now because it's on my bone folder. I should have done that before I've added the glue. The other side. Now what I can tell is the downfall with cutting it off like this is that I need to put some paper over here to cut quite a bit to hide the chipboard later on. I'll explain it when we get there, but I think it's going to be alright. And otherwise I'll just do a little patch, that's also fine. Okay, so now we have this wrapped, and the next step is to attach our front and back cover. Now this is directional, so I need to keep that in mind, that it's going to be in the right direction. We are going to, not like this, it's going to be put like this. And then what I'm talking about is I'm going to cover the inside, but I have to go pretty high here. So maybe what I need to do is give it a slight patch now that I can. So you don't want to angle that cut. So I'll fix it, that's okay. I'm just going to cut off one of the pieces that I've cut off. So let's do a little patch. So you don't want to angle this, you want to keep this pretty straight so you cover the top edge there. I hope that makes sense. And I will cut it up to there. Oh, that's too bad. I should have cut that higher. Okay, I'm just going to put some wet glue here. So these pieces line up here perfectly because I cut it off. I messed up here, so I'll work on that in a little bit. So you want to keep that straight. That's basically what it's coming down to. Like I said, it's been a while. And then I will cut off the overhang here. So not perfect, but once I've put over that other piece of paper, that will be fine. Well, it's kind of fixed. It's not looking great, but let's just think about the fact that we're not going to be focused on that once we are done with the project. Hopefully. Okay, so we need to put our adhesive on this side of our piece now. And since I've already cut that angle, which you should not be doing, I won't have tape on the diagonal side, but I'll fix that with some wet glue. That's fine. You don't want to go too close to your edge, because that will be visible once the book is constructed. So I'm going to put a little bit of tape right here. And then I will stay away from that edge a little bit. So with this pattern paper, I have a nice guideline. So I'm just going to use the lines in the pattern paper to get me where I want to be. And I'll just put a little bit more here in the middle as well. So same thing on this side. I will just use one of those lines to make sure that I'm not too close to the gray board. I'm gonna give all of that a nice burnish. And now we need to get our covers in. So I really have to keep that direction in mind. And we are going to lace it like this. But I'm going to do it in this way. So we want to line up top and bottom. We want to push it up nicely against that. So I might, just to be sure, put a little bit of adhesive there as well. And I might go for my 3/8 inch there. I'm not going to go all the way to the edges. I'm staying away slightly. And I will combine it with some wet glue as well, to give me some wiggle time if I need it. So I will remove all these tape backings. And add a little bit of wet glue. So with adding the wet glue on top of a tape, some people say never ever do that. I do. It's more for wiggle time than for the actual keeping things together. That's the double-sided tape is keeping it together. I just want to make sure it's, you know, just extra security and some wiggle time. So lining up top and bottom and really pushing down on that. So again, not a mistake there. It's all right. We can fix it. The double-sided tape, I should not have gone so high because I've angled it. So I will just give that a slight cut. I need to close up my glue quickly. And there we go. Because there's a chance that I won't cover this up with the piece that's going over, right? So be very careful when you do this. You don't want to damage anything. But just don't go too high with your tape. I know that for the next one now. Okay, so that is in place. Other one. So I need to think about direction. It's going on this side. So not too high. Stay a little lower. And I'm staying away from the edge. That should be better. Where's my thingy? Here. And then same thing, lining up top and bottom and pushing down on it. Well, this was the best tutorial on how to do an easy wrap method for your albums. Tell all your friends. If you want to learn, you have to be here. Okay. Nice. So, see, eventually we got there. it's fixed, it's done, it's fixed, it's constructed. Look, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of how this looks, but I do like that we got to do the pattern paper around the album. So this is the only reason that I hardly ever use it, because I'm not a big fan of this look of spine. But I'm happy with how this turned out. What I'm thinking about is maybe use a scrap piece of my gray board to make a little frame that I will wrap with this pattern as well, and have that come back on here. But I haven't made any decisions on that. That's also not what we're doing in this video. That will be something that I'll do at the very last, because we are working in this album. What we need to do next is work on this inside, clean this up. We're gonna have a 1-inch binding system on here, and we need to cover this up, but I still have to make my final decision on what color cardstock I'm going to use for that. So once I'm ready, I've got my pieces prepared, we'll be back and finish off this inside. Okay, we went with the white cardstock. I went with the white cardstock. The reason that I was in doubt is because this has a linen press in it, and I'm not a fan of the linen press, but I just have to keep in mind that I'm going to cover up most of it, and I think white is just going to be the best look with the rest of the album with the pattern paper. Again, I've decided to do things slightly different than I normally would, because if normally when I make a binding, and you've been following me for a longer time, I always like make the binding where we stick the hinge on the spine and then we have flaps and everything is secured onto the front and back cover. This time I'm going to make the binding where it's only stuck down on the spine. And then I decided to cut 3 pieces of cardstock, one to cover the spine and connect it to the front and back cover, and then 2 pieces that are, one is for the back cover, one is for the front cover. This is a bit inconvenient with your cardstock, because my middle piece I've cut it to 6 inches because I wanted to overlap. This I don't want to have those edges all in the same place, because that's going to give like that really bulky feeling. So I need it to be a bit wider. And then these, so that's 8 3/8 of an inch in height by 6 inches in width. And then I've got my 2 pieces to 8 3/8 inches in height by 6 3/8 inches in width to cover that front and then the back cover. Now you can also do this with pattern paper if you want to. But yeah, it's a bit inconvenient. You can also leave like 1 piece to 12 inch and then cover a long piece, and then you only have to cut a smaller piece here to make it a little bit more convenient. But I didn't want to have that overlapping in my album there, so that's why I chose to do it this way. But yeah, there are different ways to get there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my spine piece, and I'm going to give that a little bit of double-sided tape around the perimeter. I'm going to use 1/4 inch tape and fill in that middle bit a little bit. Now I could have prepared that before I turned on the camera, but I didn't think about it. So I will just go as quickly as I can, but quick doesn't really exist in my crafting world. So I guess I'll just have to fast forward until I've done that. So that is filled in a little bit. I'm going to burnish it so I don't forget later on. And I will also place some tape on the cover. So I'm going to get that in quickly. I'm going to place some double-sided tape along the edges of the spine. I'm not going to go too high. I'm learning from my mistakes. I might do another strip in the middle there. And then the question is, do I want some here? Maybe I do. Again, I'm not going to go completely from top to bottom. It's just to secure that edge a little bit, to make sure, because I don't know where the double tape that I put on the piece of cardstock is going to land, right? Okay. Give that a burnish as well. Now this is going to be a little bit of aiming. I'm going to remove the tape backings and I'm just going to aim that I'm centered from top to bottom and like have it centered from side to side as well. Yeah, let's hope, let's pray it's going to turn out all right, because with my track record for this video, it might go completely wrong. But sometimes, like in the past, I might have just got a new piece for my spine and just started over with that spine. But I was like, no, let's leave it in. Everybody makes mistake. Let's show it, and let's show how you can fix it. And that it's not a big deal in the end. But I am pretty much striving for perfection, which is like impossible in handmade projects. But something like this, where I had to patch it, that really annoys me. And I'm not sure how long it's going to take before I forgot about it. Hopefully once the white cardstock is on. So I am, as you can see, giving a little bit of wet glue as well, just to give that extra bit of secureness. And some, I can lift it up when I'm not happy with my placement. So just eyeballing it. And I try to drop it mainly on the spine for now. And then I will just slowly work my way to the side. Now when I make my regular covers, I would really burnish it into the gusset there. Now I'm not really sure with these covers, but I think that's alright. Let's turn it around so I can work on this side, which I prefer. And then I guess, like, just by using it, by opening and closing it, we will break down those fibers of that cardstock a little bit more over time, and it will become a little bit more flexible again. And I might come back and do this a little bit more later on. Let's do that with the other side as well. See, now I can hardly see any of my patchwork, so it's all right, Ivanka. It's all right. You don't see anything of it. There we go. I might, maybe, well, now that I've done this, maybe I didn't even need that patchwork, but hey, I did it anyway. So this is going to be pretty easy. Again, I'm going to put some double-sided tape around the perimeter, fill it in a little bit, and probably add some wet glue for wiggle time. And I'm just going to place it on here where I stay away from that gusset a little bit, and I have a little bit of space there. Maybe I want to cut off a slight hair of 1/16 of an inch so I can still see a little bit of that pattern paper on the side. I think I will. So I will change that measurement. It will probably become 6 1/4 then. So let's do that. I would like to see a little bit more of that pattern paper. Okay, this is a paper trimmer that I chose to buy because my paper trimmers are also in my shipping container. My beloved Fiskars rotary trimmer. No, I need to go to 6 1/4 now. There we go. This is a paper trimmer with the grid. Right. I was saying, paper trimmer with the grid. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath because I just had to run downstairs to open up the front door for a package delivery. Because of the grid, it's really hard for me to measure and line up the 1/8 of an inches and the 1/16 of an inches. So therefore, I don't prefer it. But it does the job. It cuts well. You can also score with it, but I don't use the score lines because the score line is not thick enough for me. So I've changed this to 6 1/4, so I have a little bit more of that edge over there, and I can stay away from the gusset nicely. So let's put some double-sided tape on here. I'm going to remove all those tape backings and then add the wet glue on it. Again, it's not so much for keeping the album together. It's for that wiggle time and maybe filling up a little bit of the places where I didn't put my tape. Go over that edge a little bit. And let's line it up with the top. I'm making sure that I'm not too close to the gusset area here as well. And give all of that a really good burnish. So that's one side. I just like to turn it upside down. I always have my preferred sides to work on for certain things. And then all of that is in place and we can work on our hinge. Nice. Then for our binding, we have a piece of cardstock that is 8 inches high by 4 inches in width. We are going to score this piece with the 4-inch on top. It's a few measurements, so keep your cutting guide close by, or I will put the measurements somewhere here in the video as well. So with the 4-inch on top, we're going to score at 7/8 of an inch, 1 3/8 of an inch, 1 5/8 of an inch, 2 1/8 of an inch, 2 5/8 of an inch, 2 7/8 of an inch, and the last one is 3 3/8 of an inch. So there are quite a few of different widths of space on this piece, but keep in mind that the score line that we made on the 2 1/8 of an inch is going to be the top of our actual hinge. So I'm going to grab that score line and start with folding it on that score line. And then I'm going to get this one out of the way. So let me just give that one a burnish straight away. And then I will open it back up and get some tape in. And I'm going to place some tape. So I have next to the one that I just folded on, when I open it up and I'm looking at the bumpy side, I have 1/2 inch next to it and then 1/4 inch next to it. Both of those spaces I want to have covered in tape. So I'm going to use a combination here of 3/8 inch tape and 1/4 inch, and I might have to overlap them a little bit, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to go over the score line that I just folded on, and I don't want to go over the score line. So this is the score line that we just folded on, then I have a score line here and then another one that's like the end of the 1/4 inch. I don't want to go over that one either. We want to keep those free of any tape. So if you need to overlap your tape, just go for it. And it doesn't matter if you like go over the score line that's in between those spaces, right? That's fine. Okay, so giving that a burnish, and then we can remove that tape backing and stick those, then fold it again on where we already folded. I want to keep saying like fold it in half, but it's not really in half. But I mean like making sure that that line that we already folded on is going to end up being the top of our hinge. So once we've glued it together, I can just pull on the side that is looking up for me and just pull back on it, and it should fold automatically on your second score line from the cut edge. And give that a good burnish as well. And then we can open that one back up for now, fold it to the other side and do the same thing. So it doesn't really matter which one you do first, whatever is facing you, that's fine. So now, once we've done that, we have our hinge standing up, and then we have 1/2 inch on both sides, and then a score line, and then a 7/8 inch space and a 5/8 inch space. Now both of the outer sides I'm going to fold in and glue to the bottom of the hinge. So I'm going to just fold the hinge flat to the side where I have the 7/8 inch part, turn it over. So now my 5/8 inch part is on the left hand side. I'm going to put some tape there. I'm just going to get myself some 3/8 inch tape that I'm going to put along the cut edge. That will do. Again, give that a burnish. And let's fold, before we remove our tape backing, let's fold on that score line towards the bumpy side so the tape is disappearing. Burnish it. We'll burnish it a little bit better in a second. And now we can remove the tape backing. And then we are going to glue that onto the bottom. So you will go over that fold that we already made slightly, like a 1/8 inch. Give that a really good burnish. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So now I can put my hinge back up again. I only have 1/2 inch here on the right hand side and that 1/2 inch and the 7/8 inch space on the left hand side. So now I want to do the same thing with that 7/8 inch space. So I'm going to fold my hinge towards the other side, flip it over and add my tape on that 7/8 inch space. I think I'm going to add a 1/4 inch tape here as well to get a little bit more coverage. You can use wet glue as well, of course, like always, whatever you prefer. I'm not too precise. I'm just making sure that I'm not going over that score line, and just cover that 7/8 inch space a little bit. Give that a burnish. Again, fold on that score line. Give that a burnish. I hope you're able to follow where I'm at and where things are folding towards. I understand it might be a bit tricky. And then we are going to close that one up and give that a good burnish again. So now when I fold this over to the bottom, I can pull my hinge here to come up straight. So we have our hinge here. You can recognize it because you have a 1/2 inch part and a score line and then a 1/4 inch part. That is your hinge. And then you have 1/2 inch on either side. And that inch part is what we're going to glue to our actual spine. But what I'm going to do first is on this 1/2 inch part of your actual hinge, I'm going to put some 3/8 inch tape on both sides of my hinge. That's what I prefer to do. So again, I'm just folding the hinge flat, some 3/8 inch tape, and then this time I'm going to make sure that I put it close to that folded edge so that I stay away from the score line. My thingy here. And then fold it to the other side. I just like to turn it around. It's easier for me. And then do the same thing. Okay, give all of that a burnish. And then I'm going to get myself some scissors. Because we have that, maybe it's a little bit hard to see on camera, but I have that score line here. So I have a 1/4 inch part and then the score line. And then that 1/2 inch part that I just put my tape. I'm going to put my scissors directly at that score line. Like that. And I'm going to cut with an angle into that 1/2 inch to cut a little piece off. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So I'm putting my scissors at the score line and cut with that angle. So now once this is in your album and your page is done, and we're going to slide our page over that 1/2 inch part, it will stop automatically where we start our taper. So it won't be able to go any further, which means that your page has a 1/4 inch space up to your cover, to your spine. And that's what we want. So now what we need to do is we need to put tape or glue, but something that is strong, that it's going to make sure that it's not coming off over time, on the bottom, and then we can stick it on our spine. Now I'm going to do my best to get the bottom. So I'm going to go to the bottom by just putting it on its side and then pushing it flat. And again, I'm going to put some double-sided tape there, and I'll probably add some wet glue with it as well. The page that is going on here is not very heavy, and that's why I'm okay with doing this binding. But yeah, I just want to make sure that it has a really good stick onto the spine and that it's not coming off over time, because we want to make projects that will last us for a long time, right? So the tape on that bottom. Time to get our album in. Opening it up, and now we need to center it on the spine, aiming it's about 1/4 inch from your edge of your binding up to the top of your cover. But again, because it's so small, I'm just going to eyeball it and just pray that I'm on there straight. I just noticed with the last project that I did, the Absolute Beginners mini album, my binding, I don't think I've ever placed the binding that crooked into an album. But hey, it happened. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. But I just like when you open up the pages, then because if your binding is crooked, you might not see it, or you might think, oh, it's not too bad. But then when your pages go on, they just go more and more off on an angle. So it's like once your pages are on, you really notice it. But this is only one page. It should be fine. Okay, I'm a bit put on a little bit more glue than I normally would with this glue, but I hope it's not oozing out too much. And eyeballing that I'm centered on the page, that I'm somewhat straight. If glue is oozing out, I try to wipe it away straight away, even though it clears dry. Sometimes some dust will catch onto it before it's completely dry, and especially on the white cardstock, it might become a little dirty. So yeah, and again, I'm really making sure that I'm burnishing this on really well. I really want to make sure that this has a really good stick on here. And then I'm not unhappy with how this is looking so far. So I started off with a bit of a disaster, unwrapping that spine. But we got there in the end, and I don't even see anything of it. There we have it. Our cover and binding is prepared. We can now start working on the elements on the inside. There's going to be 3 parts to it. We're going to have a front cover element, a back cover element, and we're going to have a rather simple page in the middle. So that's like the building of our elements, and then we will end up with decorating the cover. But for now, our base is here, and we will continue in the next video. So I think I will make a video where I construct one element and I might decorate that element right there, like in that same video, and do that for all 3 elements, so 3 videos, and then a separate video for decorating the cover. That's what I'm thinking right now, but hey, plans always change, so we'll see what happens. For now, I want to say thank you for watching. It's good to be back, and I hope you follow me with this project. And don't forget, a free cutting guide is available on my Ko-fi website. Link is down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.